I don't know, like, I don't know if it's, because of, how I grew up and like, what I've believed and what I believe now and like how things, have like morphed with that. But I've always said where it's like, look, I have no problem with dying. Like I have the confidence that I'd go to heaven, but it doesn't mean that I want to get ripped apart by a lion to get there.
Right.
It's like, I would much rather, like, everybody wants to, go in their sleep and, things like that. But
of course,
but I don't know, like the mortality thing does kind of hit me every once in a while. Like, it's like, I do like have moments where I'm just like, oh my God, like that will happen. Like, what's it going to be like?
Yeah.
And and to me, it's like that whole idea of like, well, we all have to go on this ride eventually, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's something that, it comes to me in different waves at different times. And for the most part, I would say that I do have peace with it, but I more so fear the way that it would happen if I was going to be worried about anything.
Okay.
Like driving, weirdly enough, gets to me. Like if I know that I have to drive somewhere far, like if I do something for work, like the night before.
Really?
Dude, it's weird. Like that, like especially like when the bedroom was in here. Like I remember specifically a night that I think I had to drive to I think it was either Vanward or something. And it was like, like my long 3-hour, like, drive there. Mm-hmm. And it's the dumbest fear because the drive to Vanward is so boring. It's just open fields and nobody's on the road. But there was this moment I'm like, can I merge tomorrow? Like, it's like, is that going to be all right? Like, it's like, what happens if I can? Like, what if I cause a pileup? What if I do this? Like that stuff happens,
okay.
But once I get on the road, I'm fine. So it's just that
it's that okay.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Yeah, it's more so the way and just sometimes like little things like that will just get to me, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, mine, I guess more so anymore is the fact of it actually happening. Like it used to be the opposite. Like I was the opposite of you, where like years ago. Mm-hmm. And for most of my life, I was okay with death and the fact that it was going to happen and like, the situation. Now it's one of those things where it bothers me. Mm. And the fact of, I know that this could be the last time I look at this floor. This could be the last time I hang out with my children. My children are going to die one day. Like I brought that upon them and then myself to think about. Like it's all of these weird things that have been happening lately.
Yeah.
It was not my 40th birthday, but like it was around my 40s that this started happening. I'd say probably 38, 39.
Yeah.
It like things like that started popping in my head and it slowly got worse. The way I die obviously is the same thing like you. Like I don't want to just like die in a house fire.
Yeah, right.
Or something, but I feel like if I can go in a non-violent way, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's not what I fear. It's more so in the fact of it is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And what is going to happen after that? Mm-hmm. Is it just lights out? Like, I know we both grew up in the same home, but like, I do struggle with that now. Like, is this a real thing? Mm-hmm. Am I really saved? Like, you know what I mean? Like it goes into all these things. Like it really does strike this fear into me of the unknown because I don't know what's going to happen. And I used to think I had that under control.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my answers tonight, but I knew that was a question and I didn't want that to be,
Yeah, no, I
but
get you.
it kind of just goes into that, man, where it's just like this fear, just like, and it was just like out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It happened. And it like almost borderline took over my whole life. Like it was all I could think about for weeks and months. Yeah. And it just like, not that things scared me, but things scared me now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I don't want to, fuck it. Like it was always just one of those things for a while. And I'm like, and then I got over that part. But I think, like you said, the waves, like there are a lot of days where I don't think about it. Mm-hmm. But then there are a lot of days that I really do think about it. And it's just like, it just weighs heavy on me all the time anymore.
So it's what would you say, like, what have you done to help combat that? Or like, what, like, how, like, are you at a good place with it now? Or like, like, how is that treating you right now?
No, I'm not. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I literally just, I have my medical card. So like, I try to medicate a little bit to try to sleep. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things I have my card for is to help me sleep. But, I just try to stay busy. Just like I've said before, like I don't want to be, I can't sit still. If I'm sitting still, like I'm listening to music, like my brain has to be occupied because I'll think about it.
Yeah.
And the sleep thing was always a big thing for me, is the fact of I already didn't sleep very well, and that was just piling on top of it. So, you know, smoking does help, and people could argue that it could amplify things. It doesn't. It does help me sleep, but it also does make you think.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so there is small negative about it, but I also can talk myself around and be like, you know, and again, like rationalize and things like that. But I don't deal with it essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's just the fact of I try to ignore it.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, my answer.
No, that's honestly, that's because I don't know. I
sarcasm. That's the other way. Like,
yeah, sarcasm fixes everything in that. Right. Yeah, it does. I mean, that's our defense mechanism, you know, but no, I get it, because I mean, even though like I do have peace, very much, like, cause I don't know if it's dumb to say, but, how D12 had their song, you know, The Good Die Young, you know, and, I don't remember all the lyrics, you know, like specifically, but, whoever was rapping at that point, and he said, like, when I got the call and that Bugs had gone home. Oh yeah. You know, and there's something about that I think is like, we try our best to deal with death the only way that we, you know how to. And it's the idea that, you know, we don't say that somebody died, we say they passed away. You know, like we say things like that. Like, I think that one of the ways I heard one of my theology professors say it was that when people were crucified and you know, in olden times, was that, you know, they didn't want to tell their family members that they were crucified. They said they were lifted up. You know, it was a way to like soften that blow. And like, I try to like, quote unquote, like bullshit myself with that sometimes, you know, where it's like, it's easier to be like, nah, dude, like he just went home, you know, and it's, you know, so like, it's, you know, but in the same hand is that the moments that I've been afraid, it's more so, I think when I was kind of like in my faith crisis, which it kind of goes into my last like quote unquote fear, which I'll get there, but it's interesting because, you know, like I've been raised in church, you know, my whole life, and, you know, I've devoted so much time into ministry, and I no longer do, but, you know, there were a couple of times that I really had to assess myself as well and really think about it, where it was like, you know, like I'm struggling with this, you know, I'm very angry, you know, I'm, you know, very disappointed with where my mind and my life was at the moment, you know, and the things I said, the things I felt, and like, you know, how I was treating people that were around me, and like just all that stuff. And I think that there is kind of that sobering moment where you have to think about yourself, where it's like, you know, like, is like, will this be counted against me?
Of course it will.
And, you know, and like it's hard because, you know, I've struggled with that just because of the fact that it's like, if I've made my decision for Christ, then if I die and stand before God, then ultimately the only thing that's seen is the blood of Jesus. You know, he doesn't see your sins. And it's, you know, so it's like that, but in the same hand is that humanistic side of me still comes out. And there's that part of me where it's like, well, what if it isn't the God of the Bible? You know, like, what if, you know, it's like, I do come back as a rat, or like, you know, something dumb like that, you know, it's like, and I don't know, like, I can't say that it goes away completely, but I would say that there's enough of, you know, my faith that I have, you know, established myself on, that I've seen proof of, and I've seen things in my life where I've been able to, you know, carry that peace and help it outweigh, you know, those moments whenever I am scared.